Good morning, everyone. Welcome to coaching. Today we talk about power hours. Thank you for spinning the Rush song this morning, Joe. That was Time Stand Still by my favorite band. If you don't know that about me, well, there you go. Yes, I'm a huge Rush fan. Around my office here, there's Geddy Lee's Book of Basses. That's like, 1,000 different bass guitars. I even have the Rush coloring book. I've got that big book that says Rush there. That's every show they've ever played in their history for 40 years, and all the concert tickets that went with it. So yes, huge Rush fan. The song was Time Stand Still, and today we talk about how we use our time with power hours. So welcome everybody to coaching. We're on page 48 this morning. We're talking about how we spend our time. Did you read my email this morning? I wonder, you send an email out, it's like a test for echo, hello, anyone there? By the way, Test for Echo is another Rush song. DJ, I can't help myself. I mean, once I get going on Rush, I can't stop. So, but a test for echo was if you read my email on the quote about time. Did anyone? John, hey, all right. Thanks, you guys. So the quote is, there's only one thing more precious than our time, and that's who we spend it on. And I thought that it actually kind of sums up a lot of different things that when I think about what we do and how we do it. You'll often hear me say, don't forget your why and understand your why. And the reason today that power hours are so important, this discussion, is because it helps someone. And time matters to people. It matters to you. How you spend your time and how you spend it on others matters, or the lack thereof, right? So on page 48, I kind of had another little perspective on time. The song Time Stand Still, the lyrics written, of course, by Neil Peart, who was a lyricist for the band, a great poet, very well educated. If you know anything about him, he really well studied, very well read. And his message was really to kind of slow down and take advantage of time around us, even a drink with a friend, was one of the lines there. And that time moves really, really fast. And of course, the older we get, the faster it goes. And, days go by and what was seems like an hour, weeks go by and what feel like days. And next thing you know, decades have gone by. And so it's not lost on me that today, although we're focused in a business setting, that we really should look at how we spend our time on what matters most. So business is just one part of our lives. It's a very important part of our lives, but it's not the only part of our lives where we could dedicate time to. And that's really what the idea of power hours are. Now, we talked about leading measures, and let me go ahead and share my screen. And there's a correlation here I just want to make sure that we all get. When we're talking about power hours, we are talking about allocation of time to a particular focus. And of course, on these, whoops, wow, that went fast. Okay, wow, my scroller was on lightning speed there. Sorry about that. So when you have a dedicated time to different activities, you can see over here different suggestions of activities. We're measuring that. So it's not just say doing 3 of one thing or 10 of one thing, so many mailers, so many posts, so many contacts, database, how many. Yes, we can put units to things, but this is a perspective of putting time to things. Okay. So whatever it takes within the time frame, we may get 12 units accomplished, 10, 100, 2, 1. Really, the unit is not the focus, but the time is. Make sense? There's also this idea that when we're changing something that you've never done, so be thinking about the one thing that might matter most if you spent, say, an hour a day on this thing, how would it improve? How would it affect you? There's that who perspective. You know, would it help you? You matter too, right? Time is precious, but not as precious as you. And time is precious, but not as precious as the people you're helping. So often we're the one in the mirror that is benefiting from how we spend our time. I did a little research on what it takes to get the shuttle to get off the ground. You might find this interesting, but it takes an enormous amount of energy to get the shuttle to launch into space. Here it is right here in the center. If you want to highlight that, it's 7.2 million pounds of thrust have to happen. I own a 350 Ford that I bought to help tow my boat. It's a twin turbo diesel. By the way, it tows it marvelously for you guys out there. You know, you Tim Toolman, you know, yeah, twin turbo. It does really well. Guess how many pounds of thrust? Bob Starks probably knows this because he's a car guy, but it's 1,000 pounds basically. It's 1,000 pounds of thrust behind twin turbo diesel engine, and it takes 7.2 million pounds of thrust to lift the shuttle off the ground. As it goes, it gets lighter. Not only is it leaving the heavy air of the Earth, but it also is burning its own fuel and then the rockets are then jettisoned, and it gets up to speeds of 17,000 miles per hour. Why am I saying all this? Well, if you're thinking about putting a power hour to something you've never done before, then it can often feel pretty heavy. You know, I mean, you're a zero in this thing, maybe, or not very good at it, you know, a D plus, as Tommy Boy would like to say. I can't believe I passed. I got a D plus. But if you want an A plus and you have a D plus, it can feel like pushing that freaking shuttle off the Earth's gravity, which is really tough to do. And so we have all these different areas that we could consider. You know, certainly exercise, I think, helps everybody stay healthy, study. I always ask you, what do you study? Put an hour to that thing. One of our agents just spent some pretty good amount of money on a high quality digital camera for various uses. I'm sure it would be a good idea for this person to spend some time studying and researching how to get the most out of that investment, right? A lot of these things can go on and on. I think today we spent an hour in training. If you've come to coaching, you know, for 3 straight weeks, over 3 months, over 3 years, what kind of effect would that have on you, right? So little things done in a time blocked segment of our day can be really, really powerful. Stop sharing for a minute. How many of you know that I take the stairs a lot when I'm in the old mill office? It's really embarrassing when you get to the 6th floor and you can't talk. You know, they say, "Hi, Will," and I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" You know, and it's embarrassing. It takes like a good minute for my heart rate to come down. But I did some math on this, talking about doing little things over a period of time. So to go from the 3rd floor in Old Mill to the 6th floor, that's 6 flights of stairs, and a flight of stairs is 12 steps. Okay. So how many calories, and calories is just one way to measure something. It's not the only thing, but how many calories do you think you burn in a flight of stairs? You're like, oh, 1,000, easy, 1,000 calories. I wish. If that were true, I'd put donuts back in my diet.
Not enough, Will, not enough.
No kidding, huh? It's not enough. Well, it's only 5 calories per flight of stairs. Good guess, Lauren. I wish it were 10. I wish there was a way to double that. Maybe if I ran up them, loaded with my backpack with something, maybe I could get that out of it. But it's 5 calories per flight. Okay, you think, well, that's nothing, right? And true, you know, like 1 flight of stairs, not that big of a deal. But what if I did, I kind of took an average. I did this 4 times a day. And Jill could attest to this. I probably am up and down those stairs at least 4 times. So now we've got a total of 30 calories in one day, which again, you'd say, not that big of a deal. But let's say we did that 4 times. Sorry. If I go up the flight of stairs, geez, now I'm questioning my math. Dang it. Let me try to get this right. Okay, you can laugh at me. It's okay. All right, I'm vulnerable. So I got five times each flight, 6. Yes, that's 30. So that's every time I go up, it's 30. Then I do that times 4 times a day. Yeah, okay. 120 calories in a day. That's equivalent to 1 mile. Right, Kim? That's now you're saying, hey, that's equivalent to running 1 mile. Yeah, now that's 1 bite of a donut. Yeah. Yeah, be careful. Donuts, not so good. Let's don't set a power hour of eating, say maple bars or something, as tempting as that is. Okay, so there's 120 in a day. And then let's say we just did that only 3 times a week. Now we've got 480 calories in a week. So how are you feeling now? So now we're starting to get some momentum and lift off the ground, right? So just for fun, I did this, so if you did that 3 times in a week, so you got 480 in a week. And then if you did 480 only 3 times a month, so not every, so no sense in exaggerating here. Let's just go 3 weeks out of the month. Now we're at 1,440 calories in 1 month, which is the equivalent of running 12 miles. And now you go, oh, right? Power hours, a little bit every day. Study one thing, 1 hour, 1 time a day, and 3 times a week at least. I always talk about the power of 3, at least 3 times a week for at least 3 weeks. And now you got something. Now you got that thrust that can change something, create a new habit, build something that you haven't yet built. You really got something. What are your thoughts on this? This idea of spending an hour on something that really matters. Can you share any successes about this that you've experienced? Yeah, go ahead, Benjamin.
Yeah, I actually can. I actually was in the ICU a couple months ago. I had a blood sugar reading of almost 1,300. And it was kind of a combination of stress and then a lot of sugar. I was overweight. And what I did is I started just implementing small little measures. And I didn't really think it was much. I didn't, start running really fast on the treadmill. I would just walk for 5 minutes. But I would do it consistently. So it became internalized, it became a habit. And then I had, a checkup with my doctor last week. He's like, we need to find out if you're really diabetic because your A1C dropped to like 5.3. It was at a 12, which is, sky high. So I've seen that, with my health, it's possible. And it hurt at first, I didn't want to do those things. I was huffing and puffing. Speaking about stairs, I eventually transitioned to the Stairmaster, but slowly but surely I was able to feel, that thrust come about. And now when I go and I do my routine, it's a habit. It just comes natural.
Yeah. Very good. Good for you. Now we take that and we apply that to every aspect of our life, health into business, lead generation. That's the formula works really well for lead generation and lead conversion, kind of getting a habit and a cadence with things. What else? Anybody else got an example of something that changed over time using this idea of dedicating time to something that matters? Hi, Lena.
I will. I put in the post, but really listening to you for a year, and I'm slow to act, helped me start exercising again. And I hate going to the gym, so I have some rubber band things at home and started doing my training that I did when I used to when I used to model and I was a gym rat for 3 or 4 hours a day. But so I do the laziest workout. It's 10 minutes, but it's 10 minutes compared to nothing. And I'm thinking, if you can do this, all that you do with your schedule, well, holy crap. The rest of us can at least do 10 minutes of something. So thanks for that.
Oh, well, I appreciate the positive spin on that. I think that the confession is with all of us is it doesn't have to happen every single day, but it's got to happen enough. Because if you only do it once, that's a 0. If you only do it twice, that's a 0. If you get to 3 within a week, then it starts to matter. So to me, if I don't exercise at least 3 times, then the week is a 0. I think the same thing happens with all the other aspects of our life. Okay, and Lena, I commend you for that. If you guys don't know Lena, she's one of our star agents up in the Logan office, and just a great lady. You know, and I know a couple things personally about Lena. I also know that she's learning to play guitar, but you learn to play anything, and it is going to have to dedicate a little bit to something. So what if I said, well, what about technologies? We got a lot of resources at Berkshire Hathaway. Real Scout was focused on yesterday in sales meeting. Joe took us on a real quick reminder of how easy it is to set up this really powerful tool. We hear our captain and CEO say what a great technology this is. If we're a 0 at that thing, that's okay. Put an hour to it. Then put it 3 times in 1 week. If you really want to make a difference on this class today, take the personal inspiration that you're getting about what needs to be focused on that could use a power hour and calendar it. All you really have to do today is make the decision on what it is and get it in your calendar. That's all you got to do today. All right. There's going to come a time we wake up in the morning and go, oh, yeah, today is the day that I focus on Real Scout. All right. My bar chords on the guitar, right? I got to focus on my bar chords. Today's the day I've got to get my cardio in or my lifting in. Today is the day I must continue my consistency with a good diet. It all applies, right? So remember, I went back and looked at the leading measure discussion we had 3 weeks ago. If you weren't on that coaching session, I would recommend that you watch it because there was some real gems there. Remember, I asked everybody to take a category of life. And I said, we start off with like health. And Benjamin gave a great example of that. I go, okay, it's your health. And then I said, well, what do you need to be healthy? And the answers were things like, well, eat well and exercise and, that sort of thing, right? But that's not a leading measure. It's certainly not a power hour either. A leading measure is something we put a number to. Leading measures, I'm kind of preaching from the 4 disciplines of execution. If you don't have the book, get it. 4 disciplines of execution, get it. If you don't have it, it's kind of one of our, Berkshire Hathaway Bibles, I would say. And you put a number to the things that matter most. So leading measures are the things that cause lagging measures to happen. Leading measures are things like contacting people, they lead to closings. Closing is a lagging measure. GCI is a lagging measure. Buyer brokered buyers are also a lagging measure. What causes the client relationship to occur is a leading measure. And it's little things over time, right? So we put a number to it. It can be units. It can also be time allotted. I can tell you from the runner's perspective, there are runs that I go on that have nothing to do with distance. They have 0 to do with pace. They all have to do with just time. That would be a power hour concept. Okay. So instead of saying things like, well, I have to eat and exercise, and in real estate, I need to make sure I prospect, which I don't really like the word, but I understand it. I say, well, I need to prospect more. That is in itself true, but 2 perspectives on that. One is don't forget who. Remember, time is valuable, but who is more precious? Don't forget who we are serving and why they matter and why home matters. When you get that mental space right, the what and how you do it will better itself. The way you contact, the way you engage will improve. Instead of approaching it like I need a listing, we say, who can I help? Who can I serve? Who needs the services of a Berkshire Hathaway agent? And I'm telling you, they all do, because I've seen the other side, right? We've seen the other side. It's dangerous out there. Okay. They need someone who leads with heart, but is a high level studied professional with lots of resources. That's what they need. They don't need a hobby agent. They don't need someone who's driven by sales objectives. Yes, I understand them. I get it. It's just, what year is it? 2022. Okay. This is my 31st year, and I have spent 20 years teaching this. So I don't know. I don't think that anyone's going to fool me at this point. Plus, I'm 53 years old and I get to say whatever I want to say. I call it like it is. I want salespeople, right? I want professionals. Salespeople are in the way and self-centered. Professionals remove obstacles, educate, present with heart in mind, right? They remember the value of the who. They understand home and what that means to people. Sorry, I'm on my soapbox again. I even promised myself this morning, don't spend too much time on that, Will. Let's talk about power hours. Okay. All right. So on page 49, there's a couple things that, look, this is very similar to time blocking. Here's my notes on my, look, I got all kinds of instructor notes on just littered throughout my manual. So a couple things I think you should write down. Power hours is just another way to have a time blocking, if you've heard that before. Also, it's a leading measure, but it doesn't have units tied to it, it has time tied to it. I think another principle to look at when you're thinking of power hours in your day, have you ever said to yourself, I don't have time? You might be thinking that right now. Will, I don't have time for this. Like, I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to contact people like I want to. I don't have time to learn an instrument. I don't have time to study, right? Hence the song this morning, to give us a little perspective on the value of time and who it's spent on. First is you need to spend time on you, or you can't help anyone. So if you're not healthy, if your mental attitude's not good, if you're not well studied, you're not going to be able to help very well. If you want fulfillment and not happiness that can kind of be fleeting, if you want joy and not you're happy one day, sad the next. I mean, just watch a movie, right? You can go from happy to sad in 10 minutes or 1 minute, but joy lasts for a long, long, long time. Fulfillment lasts a long time. In that equation is helping someone else get what they want. So that's got a deeper reservoir in it. When you go to make so here's some more notes. I put this on kind of by the training stuff. It's kind of a law of physics. Two objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time. So if we were in a live setting right now, I would be writing on the whiteboard, bad, good, better, best. And I would say, what needs to be removed to allow space for something better? Right now, we've got, again, uncertainty in the world. So pandemic on to Ukrainian men and women are fighting for their lives in a country and their freedom. And we're watching all this unfold. I'm sure many of you feel heartache for what they may be going. There's a lot of great stories coming out of there that are very hard to see and watch. I just want to remind everybody, although I think it's important for us to be educated, we're all voters. The warning to this is that media as always, loves the sensational negative news. Sometimes it just happens to be true. And that's what I love about journalism and the power of the press, is when they just tell me the truth. What I do not appreciate about news and media is I don't get the whole story. I just get the sensational, negative, heart-wrenching nightmare over and over and over. The reason I'm telling you this, be very, very careful about what you consume on a daily basis, because guess what? Power hours used inappropriately, like 1 hour doing bad things or harmful things over time, what happens, do you think? We know, right? We know. And I think it's just the human journey. And when I put bad, good, better, best, I think all of us go, look, there's something bad I'm spending time on. God, you got to get rid of that. It's sabotaging you, just jettison it, remove it, and put something else better in its place. And at the same time, I'm looking at all your faces, and I love you all. I know a lot about each one of you. I don't want to put everyone in a box and say, yeah, we all should be doing this. The beautiful thing about your ability to choose, which I think is maker given, is that you have to analyze your life and what is good, better, best. And what's best for you may not be best for me. And that doesn't mean it's a good, bad, or wrong thing. Okay? It just means that your soul and your journey need this. So, step one to all this is pausing the noise long enough for you to analyze, well, what is it? And life has a way to just keep the amplifiers cranked. So you never really get time to meditate on what you need. So law of physics, two objects can't occupy the same space at the same time. You want to clean a closet? You got to get rid of something first, right? I heard that we have a storage room in our basement that Tammy and I both just hate. I hate this room. I just can't seem to ever get it right. But when we go to clean that thing, what do? We empty the entire storage stuff out into the bedrooms and hallways and family room. And we start with, like a blank slate, and then we put things back that we want to keep, and what we don't want gets thrown out. What a great way to look at how I spend time, is to stop for a minute and go, wait a minute, this is my time. It's extremely valuable. I never get back today. I'm not going to get it back. How do I want to spend it? Not to get too dramatic on this, but I love to watch and study Steve Jobs for the things he did well. I don't think that Steve Jobs was a perfect man. Okay, I'm not. He would even say that. But in his final decade of life, he knew how fragile his time was, and he says that when you realize that your time is short, you start living differently. And he said, if I'm doing too many days in a row of things that I don't want to do, then I know I need a change. So I hope that that's inspiring to you. It's supposed to be. Your ability to choose and to better and to look at that good, better, best chart and put something out and put something else in is great. The reason I brought up the news is because I tell the story a lot, but my morning routine for a good decade was get the paper off the driveway. Now I sound like an old man because I would get up and walk out and get a, printed paper. They used to do that. I don't know, you guys, they come in a, rubber band and, they used to do that. And, I couldn't wait to get the paper because that was my morning routine. And I got in the habit of doing that. And of course, I undo the rubber band and I open it up and there's the front page. And what's on the front page? Well, it's not anything too positive, usually. Maybe a couple of times a year, you might find like, Oprah gave away $10 million. Wow, cool. But normally it's, all the bad things in the world going on. And I wondered what that was doing to me. And then, so I stopped doing that and I started simply, and look, I've said this a million times, but my goodness, maybe it's worth repeating. I hope it is. I found TED Talks. That was kind of my first, like, hey, we live in an amazing time. How many of you had in high school to do a paper, you had to go to the library physically, go to the library? Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. My kids have no clue. Card catalogs, you're walking around, pulling, oh my, microfiche. Remember the microfiche? Oh my. Today, you just Google it and bang, you got the expert on the planet on the subject with 100 million views, 50 million views. And an example of this is, so I'm always on the look for what I could study in the morning that's better and uplifting and inspiring. So I usually go to TED Talks. It's because they're 18 minutes long. I do 2 of those, and that's a good workout. And I do that while I'm running. I sometimes I'll take my phone with me. Sometimes I don't. Every run has its own purpose. The benefit of having the phone with me is that when I get some inspiration, I can stop, go to my notes and write something down or calendar something. So don't let personal inspiration go unleveraged. Okay, a thought is coming to you for a reason. It's designed for you. And I can't tell you what that is. Only our maker can tell you what you need to do. Okay, I can't, or I'm not very good at it. All right, he's better. And you're better at listening to that. And it's so customized to you that I think it's wasteful, right? To not take that thought and then get the action needed behind it. So I'm really encouraging you to do that. And how you spend your time is really how you spend your life. Improve your morning, improve your life. Right? That's kind of how I look at it. Improve my morning, improve my life. If your morning routine starts with you getting out of bed, grabbing your phone and looking at social media, stop it. Stop it. If your morning routine, it's like the shortest sermon ever given at church, stop it. If your morning routine includes you getting up and the first thing you do is turning on CNN or the news, I'm just warning you that over time, that's going to have an effect. If your morning routine is to get up and get exercising and study something, wow, now I think you got it, right? I would concede that it doesn't have to happen in the morning, but make it happen sometime within your day. That's up to you. So yeah, I do. Swin, I do love the daily TED Talks. There's something there good for me. The library is so vast that you can say things like, how do I become a better presenter? How do I communicate better? Right? Heidi Ingham, you guys all know, one of our top agents in our company, fantastic lady, recommended a TED Talk to me the other day called it's Vulnerability by Brena Brown. Anyone? Head nods, yes. Kylie and Melinda? Ron?
Brene Brown.
Oh, Brene Brown. Okay, got it, Jill. You've watched it then? Yes? No, you have not? I thought that was one that I needed to watch a number of times to get it. In some ways, it's really simple. Like I was expecting something maybe a little bit more staged, but not in a bad way. Because she's a good presenter. It was my first time, listening to her. So I was expecting something maybe a little bit more put together. But it's really just her on a stage talking to people. Her PowerPoints were extremely simple. She's a researcher, kind of sociology, which one of my favorites is Simon Sinek. I've been calling him Cynic, and it's not, it's Sinek. So I apologize, Simon. I'm sure Simon watches my coaching sessions, every week. So I better get his name right. But like Simon, he's a sociologist. She's a sociologist. The study of us, right, and how we are with each other. And that vulnerability topic, I thought was kind of a soul searching about maybe rejection. And I think for us as real estate agents, those who survive this business have learned how to be okay with the word no. You've learned to be okay with it. If you can't be okay with no, then you're going to find that reservoir of energy depleted. You won't go on to the next opportunity because you can't handle no. I think also those are for us who say you do any kind of presenting to someone, you interact with someone, you know, you say, well, I'm gonna do a buyer consultation, and you don't get it right. Survivors in real estate have learned to be okay with their mistakes and errors. I didn't say it quite right, but I'm okay with it. I can tell you, oh my gosh, how many times I put my foot in my mouth. You guys have probably witnessed it. Like, and you go, oh, Will, you know, I've done it. I've done it so many times in front of big groups. And that's kind of what she was talking about, is you're going to have to be okay. You're going to have to be vulnerable. You got to put yourself out there. And kind of contacting and working with our sphere of influence, putting a power hour to lead generation is confessing my vulnerability, saying, I'm going to serve these people. I'm going to contact them, and I'm likely to get no, and I'm okay with that. I'm all right with it, you know? You guys, you understand that? I mean, you get it, right? That's, this is where I wish we were in a live setting, because, you know, you would be talking to me instead of me to my flat screen here. You would say, yeah, Will, that happened and this and that, and I totally get it, and you're right. I've got to be okay. I've got to be vulnerable. I'm gonna have to put myself out there. So if I dig a little deeper, is there something in your way because you're lacking the ability to be vulnerable that you are not doing this thing? You're afraid of what someone might say. I think she went through a whole list. Someone might say something. They're going to judge me. I'll make a mistake. I'll publicly humiliate myself. I won't be worthy. You know, I'm not worthy enough to do this thing. What is that? If there is something there in that space and it keeps inspiring you, then I think you probably should listen to that talk, because she says it better than I do, and put a power hour to it. Boom. Power hour. Done. Right?
Will?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's a lot to do with the confidence of an agent. And, you know, agents that are coming to your coaching or the broker roundtables or even the sales meeting are getting a little bit of confidence every time they hear something, even if it's something that you've taught 1,000 times. They catch something out of what you're teaching them that takes them up a little bit higher. And, you know, I've seen my team where they've, you know, the more education that they get, the more training they get, the more coaching they get, the encouragement that they get, the more strong they get. And then they're more okay with the no's, because they ultimately want what's best for their client, you know. And if it's a no, that's, you know, you wish them well. But being here is a huge part of that confidence, in my opinion.
Thanks, Jill. Very well said. Yeah, it's just a little bit of something good every day, you know? Hey, Don, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I totally agree with Jill. You know, it goes back to who you surround yourself with and what you're doing with your time. If you surround yourself with people that are successful, you'll be successful. If you surround yourself with negativity, you're not going to last in the business. So yeah, I completely agree with both of you.
This is me thinking. Let's make ourselves a promise, because time is valuable and we invested an hour today, to not let the day go by without you calendaring 1 hour to do the one thing that was on your mind. Can you promise me that? It's just 1 hour. Just 1 hour. It's probably not going to be enough, but you get moving. And after that hour, You can counter another one. The 1 hour what's the one thing that would make the most difference that you could spend an hour on that would make the most positive impact? Not for me. Well, I remember one time I said something to one of my mentors. And I said, I did this because I knew you'd be proud of me. And then I realized the benefit it had on me personally. I kind of, I'm learning just like you guys are. If you want to do something just because I've asked you to and it's a good thing, do it. I don't think it matters. I mean, give you another, I had someone say, well, I went to church because I have a girlfriend who was, she brought me to church. I said, I don't think it matters. Why does it matter? You still were there. Was it good for you? Yes. I don't know that matters. Just do it. I can tell you how many times I stood on that freaking treadmill and I didn't want to be on it. Okay, I could have. We're friends, right? You want to know why I climbed those stairs? No, I can't tell you. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say. Let's just say I want my wife to like me. How about that? Okay. So that's all I need. I go, yep, I'm climbing the stairs for her. Done.
Hey, Will, can I say something?
Please, Kim, save me before I say something too private.
Hey, I loved your comment about putting your foot in your mouth because I literally do this every single day. My agents know it. And you have to learn to laugh at yourself. Make yourself vulnerable. It's what makes you human. And people will love you because you're genuine. That's why people love you, Will, is because you're genuine. But I wanted to say a couple of things really quick. An old broker of mine years ago when I was new in the business taught me to do the thing you don't want to do first. He had some kind of story, and I don't remember much of it now except for the phrase, swallow the frog. And I wish I could remember the story, but meaning that you don't want to swallow the frog, so you do it very first thing in the morning. So I kind of have tried to live by that. Like if there's a phone call I need to make or a conversation I need to have that I'm not really wanting to do, I try to do it first to get it done and over with so I can focus on the rest of my day. And you will accomplish so much more if you swallow the frog first. That's number one. Number two is I have a USU football student living with me right now. He needed a place for a couple of months, so he's living with us, and he is so busy, right? We're having a conversation one day, and I was like, how do you do all that you do? And he's like, I do what I don't want to do first. So same kind of concept, which I loved that because, he does 2-day workouts. They have to go first thing in the morning and then again at night. He's working on his master's program. He's just about done. And I'm just like, how do you do it all? And he was like, I do what I don't want to do first. And so I kind of would encourage you guys to do that, to do what you don't want to do first. And your day is going to go so much better because you've already done what you didn't want to do first. That's it.
Very well said. You guys, that's Kim Phipps up in our Logan office. Fantastic lady, great realtor, great professional, a great broker, but even a better person. And I tell you what, Kim, like many of you, okay, you guys make this place at Brookshire what it is. And it's very well said, Kim, and I appreciate you not only for what you say, but who you are. And you're a great example. Look, I tried to exercise at night. It didn't work for me. I was too tired. I do it in the morning. And I'm not saying I don't want to exercise and that's why I ate the frog, right? Because it's not a frog to me. But it used to be. You know that frogs change? Like if it's a daily thing that you need to do, guess what? You can learn to love to eat frog. I've done this before. I've asked you guys if there are things in your life that at one point of your life you did not like, maybe you even despised, but then later in life you loved it. And I've gotten so rehearsed at this, I can name them right off the top of my head right now. First of all, as a teenager, I could not stand going to church. I have ADD. I don't want to sit there. I can't sit there. I don't want to sit anywhere. So I didn't want to sit at church. And today I want to go to church. All right, my teenage self would go, okay, old man, right? But I go because I want to. I didn't like playing the bass guitar. I wish I had grabbed that instrument earlier. I love the bass guitar. It's my favorite instrument. When I was a teenager, my mom wanted me to play the piano. I hated the piano. I wanted to play guitar. And now I love the piano. I probably play the piano more than any other instrument. So I love that. I used to hate egg whites. If you ever go from like natural eggs to egg whites, they don't feel the same. And they were nasty. And then now I'm like, nah, I kind of prefer egg whites, right? I could go on and on about stuff like this, you know? I didn't read a lot kind of as a teenager. I love to read and study. I was a back row kind of a person for a long time. If I walk into a room and I want to be there, I'm in the front row. I'm engaged. I'm there for me to help get something out of it or to help someone else. So your frogs can turn into what? What's your favorite thing to eat? You know,
So it tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken, Swen? Yeah. After over time. Yep.
I think they're better than chicken.
Yeah. Let's just king crab. That's the best meat on planet Earth. Too bad they're at the bottom of the Barren Sea. But it's, in my humble opinion, grade A king crab legs. Yeah, that's the best meat on the planet, on planet Earth. We to keep this a little entertaining and not too serious, but we entertained a group of friends and real estate investor and a contractor down in our St. George house, and we bought you can go to Costco and get a whole box of king crab. Did you guys know that? Anyone want to take a guess at what a box of king crab costs? Dang, I'm trying to find the picture and can't find it. Oh, here it is. You want to take a guess at, that's a box of king crab. And there's the boiler I'm putting them in. You call Travis, you're right. You must have just bought one. Yeah, $430 for a box of crab. We fed 10 people, steak and crab. I know, sign me up. Yeah, you can come on down. That's just how we roll. You know, if we have you over as a guest, we feed you steak and crab. But yeah, things that are frogs in the beginning can turn out to be other things. I think Kim is more speaking to something that might be hovering over you, that's kind of deal specific, day specific. You know, it's a task that's really important. You got to get it done. If you get that out of your way, your mind will clear. You'll feel better. It's a little bit of the effect of making your bed in the morning. You got that task done. Now it gives you momentum to do the next simple task, and so on and so on. Today, obviously, we're talking about the value of time and how we spend it. It's very important. I want you guys to have joy in your life and happiness and success in your business. The way you do that is by discipline. Go to page 51. And you'll see, I have a few thoughts on success. I guess we could read those later. Honesty to me is also being truthful about the things that are difficult, okay? It's not just saying the truth, you know? Like an agent calls up and says, so do you have an offer in hand? And you say the truth. No, they're not in my inbox. I do not have them yet. As of right now, the truth is I don't have any offers in hand. Okay, surely that's honesty, okay? But it's not honest if you don't stop and share the complexities with sellers and buyers about what goes on in this business. And you're hurting yourself if you don't do it. So it's a little different spin on what I would think honesty is. I think we owe it to them to be better educators and teachers about the truth and what's real about real estate. What's the slogan for this year? Let's get real about real estate. Okay, let's get real. Another way to say that is let's get honest about it. Another way to say that is let's pause and talk about the complexities. We're our own worst enemy in this area. Number 2 on page 51, we are certainly in a know-how business. This is a mental exercise. You're paid because of your intellect, not your physical abilities. All right, we're not digging trenches here, guys. We are a resource of knowledge and information. So fill that reservoir as deep as you can. There's no lid to it. You'll never stop learning. Use humility every day. Always ask, how can I learn? How can I better? How can I improve? Never say, I know. Never say that. Very harmful, right? So number 3 is it ties back into our disciplines on a daily basis, which is how we spend our time. And without this applied effort, what good is all this knowledge, right? If we don't, this is why I always say, go find someone to help, is begging us to get the courage and the confidence that Jill was talking about, and go do something, put an action behind it, right? Change your wishes, right, to activities. Change your wishes to leading measures. Change your wishes to power hours. Now you've got something, right, over time. Number 4 on page 452, this, and you guys can read this, but I'll just talk to it. The environment perspective here is to acknowledge a couple of things, that the environment is like a playground, and it has weights, it has hills, it has valleys. Sometimes we're on a bicycle, and other times we're backpacking with rocks straight up. The environment helps you practice becoming a better person. So let's get practiced. So, keep working out, try harder, try again, try a different way. Who can help me? What do I need to study? What do I need to learn? How can I get into action? What needs to be calendared? All of that is how I look at environments, different way of thinking about it. If it matters to you, you're going to do number 5. And so if you wrote something down that is not what you want, then you're probably not going to calendar it, and you're probably not going to measure it at all or track it. I've said this before. If I were a judge and I had all say, and you told me something like I'm a very self-motivated person, then what I would see as evidence in the court is I would see your history of tracking the things that matter most to you. Okay, so love yourself enough to give yourself a space to do something you've never done, and measure the things that matter in your life. As soon as you start measuring them, they'll start to improve. You'll start to count it, and you'll start to improve it. Really, really critical. This is why I like the marriage of units and leading measures. Like, I'm going to do 3 of something, 5 of something, 10 of something, versus I'm going to spend 1 hour on something. Okay, they're both important. And I can track those, and I can say, well, how many times did I do this thing, right? There's a bass solo in, I can't help myself, right? Oh, talk about bass solos. There's a bass solo in the song YYZ. It's near impossible. I'm telling you, Geddy Lee is an alien from another planet. The fact that this guy can play like he plays and sing over the top of these tempos that are so odd, you want to throw your instrument away and say, I can't do this. It's impossible. Do you know how many years I have tried to play that? And here's what I do, right? Vulnerability. I'm okay not getting it perfect. What'll happen is I just work on it a little bit at a time. I slow it down, right? I have a band for years. I love to play in a band. It's very fun. It's extremely addictive to me. I mean, yeah, there's a part of me who just like to hit the road, man. But you know what that's taught me? Talk about vulnerability. You're gonna have to be okay, totally blowing it, especially in front of people who know you. Totally blowing it, forgetting the lyrics, forgetting the words, forgetting the chords, forgetting the notes, all of it. Train wreck, boom, the whole song falls apart. And everyone goes, whoops, and you're gonna have to be okay with that. even though you worked on it a little bit every day. So it's all right. It's okay. You get better. It took years to get through some of those things, and I come back at it, and I got it. I recently needed to pass the Idaho test. You guys, there's a whole different language in Idaho. Totally different, completely different. Everything's different. You go, oh, but Will, you've taught real estate for years. Yeah, worthless information, I'm telling you. Okay, every file I had on any subject was worth 0. It was the wrong answer every time. Confession. Will Cooper, okay, who has memorized the Utah state test. Do you want to take, how many times did I take the freaking Idaho test? Well, I wish I could say once, but it wasn't once. Blake knows this. Trenda knows this. Gosh dang it, right? I did have a moment, I want you guys to know, where I called Tom Roney and I just went, okay, let's just have Will take the test. That's easy. Yeah. You know, who would be better than Will? I'm like, you know, I'm sabotaged by all this Utah information. I can't speak Idaho. So talk about power hours. I spent 6 power hours a day for 3 hours and then finally passed that sucker. Anyway, we all been there and done it. And also, when you want to be an pre-licensing instructor in the state of Utah, you have to pass the broker test, not the sales agent test, broker test, with 85%. Okay, 85, not 80, not 75 like a broker, but you have to be 85. Think about that. That's a lot of right answers, right? That's a ton of right answers. You got to be more than 85%. But Will Cooper, when he was 21 years old, took the state Utah test 3 times. 3 times. So if you want to talk to me about difficulty getting back up, or that's not me, well, whatever. I'm just going to grab you by the arm and say, stop fooling yourself, write a new story, and let's get some power hours. You can do this, right? Sorry, that was all the testosterone in me. Yes, I raised 4 daughters, but I'm still a man, right? Let's go do this. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me on coaching. Do me one more favor. Put in the one thing in the chat if you don't mind sharing it. The one thing you're going to calendar, the one thing you're going to put an hour to. Put it in the chat. It'd be very helpful to me. What's the one thing that matters most that you could do, that you could put an hour to? And that would be very, very helpful. I would like to get some, I need the feedback. Talk about test for echo. Are you there? Anybody paying attention here? So thank you so much. And I'll share this with everybody next week. So please, please, please put your answers in there, and I'll share them next week. Okay. Thank you for joining me. Joe, you can stop the recording. Thank you.